Hey guys, Clevelandmoto here, and we have got a really interesting bike for the bike curious, not sure what channel you're traveling in, what lane you're in. When you're not sure whether you're a scooter person or a motorcycle person and you don't want to be put into any particular pigeonhole or box, we might have the bike for you. This is a motorcycle for scooter people, or it's a scooter for motorcycle people. It's a bike that has a major identity problem, especially in this country. In our country, we are very, very weird when it comes to motorcycles. People use the phrase, I'm a Harley guy. Well, you're not a Harley guy, my God, that's a company for fuck's sake. You know, you don't give them, oh wait, maybe you do give them money. I mean, you might be their #1 shareholder. You might be their #1 contributor. But this bike is for people who actually want to get to work in the morning and carry their stuff around and do things and tag a whole lot of boxes with one vehicle. This is a really interesting bike. So this is the Piaggio BV, don't call it Beverly, 350. In Europe it is called the Beverly, but in America, by God, we can't have bikes named after women. Men won't buy them. Okay, so this, if you hear me calling it a Beverly, it's because we have more of a European mindset around here and we're totally okay with the bike having a lady's name. They've been making the BV for quite a while. It's been in the market since it was back at a 200cc bike. It was carbureted back then, but it always had the big wheels, and that made it different than a lot of the other scooters. And for people who may be transitioning from a big motorcycle, going to something lighter or something that's easier to ride, it has a CVT automatic transmission, big wheels are something they're familiar with. The handling and the feel of a large size motorcycle sized wheel is not going to be very weird to somebody as opposed to jumping on like a Buddy or a Vespa with a 10-inch wheel. It's going to feel really weird. If you're used to a big wheel, a lot of gyroscopic force, and you jump on that little nimble telepathic point and squirt bike, it's going to feel really unstable to you. It's going to feel sketchier, like a squirrel. This has the big wheels like a motorcycle. It also has the riding position like a motorcycle. And aside from the fact that you step through it, skirt bike, it is a motorcycle. But it's a motorcycle with an automatic transmission and a hell of a lot of storage. The BV350, it weighs in at about 390 pounds. With this 350cc motor platform, they've kind of found that Goldilocks moment. This bike used to be available with a 500cc fuel-injected motor. You had your choice of a 500cc or a 250cc. And what they've done is they've jammed those two things together and they've come up with the 350cc, which is just right. And it is just right. I've been on these bikes at over 90 miles per hour. That's right, me, 6'1", over 200 pounds, 90 miles per hour on this bike. And that's fantastic. It's hard to argue that you need to go a lot faster than that. Other interesting about this bike is it's a 4-valve 350cc motor. This is one of Piaggio's best motors they've ever built. You're going to get 33 horsepower. You're going to get over 25 foot-pounds of torque out of, I'm sorry, I always do that wrong. It's pounds-feet of torque, but you know, you'll have to allow me that. You're going to get this out of this one single cylinder 350cc motor. And usually when you see high power output like that, what you're going to see is low fuel economy. And in this bike, you're not getting that. I've gotten over 70 miles per gallon out of these on 87 octane fuel. So they're very, very economical as well. Typical scooters, they run a traditional belt drive CVT transmission. If you don't know what it is, look it up. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube videos that'll show you how they work. But this one has a different final drive. So our clutch in the back on this bike is a little different. It's more like a slipper clutch. And instead of being a lot of vinyl components, there's a lot of metal components. And it's in an oil bath final drive. What that all ends up being for the consumer is instead of having a belt that will start to slip at 11 or 12,000 miles, and maybe you can get 15,000 miles out of it, we got a belt here that you're not even going to have to look at for at least 25,000 miles. And that's going to bring that cost of ownership way, way down. Because when you get into a CVT bike that has a fuel injector, your maintenance and wear and tear items are very, very minimal. So the maintenance costs go way down. Remember, we don't have a chain to replace. We don't have sprockets we need to deal with. We don't have clutch plates that need to be renewed. So the maintenance costs of a CVT transmission bike or scooter are pretty darn low. This one takes it another step lower with a long life transmission that's going to give you 25,000 miles between services. And that's going to really make it really nice to own when you add that 76 miles per gallon or 72 miles per gallon on cheap 87 octane gas. Pretty neat. 3.3 gallon gas tank, and the gas tank isn't up here. And it's not up here. It's down there under your feet. By having it under your feet, once again, we talked about that, pints a pound the world around. So we know that there's about 25 pounds of fuel that is down under your feet, giving the bike a nice low center of gravity. 3.3 gallons of gas at over 70 miles per gallon. Little anecdotal story, I'm down in Mexico. My friend Steve let me borrow his BV350. And we went down to Tijuana and worked our way down through Ensenada and went over to San Felipe. And a lot of the bikes we were riding with were more vintage machines, and they had about a 100-mile range, 120-mile range. And we called this the tanker truck because it still had fuel when anybody else ran out. And I was able to use this bike to get to the gas station and shuttle back fuel for the people that couldn't make it the range that I could on this. And I'll keep in mind, on that trip, I was fully loaded with luggage, and this thing will eat some luggage. The storage on these things is nothing short of incredible. In the front, we have a place for your cell phone, a place for your garage door opener. We have a power port so you can plug in your 12-volt accessories. This bike has a remote for operating an optional alarm system, but also for remotely unlatching the seat. Why do you need to do that? Well, if the handlebar column is locked and the bike's in full secure mode, you may not want to take the time to get your key out, unlock the handlebars just so you can access the underseat storage area. The underseat storage area on this bike is huge. It has no problem swallowing a full face helmet and a jacket. Its toolkit and all of its fuses are located right here where it's very, very easy to get to it. There's a courtesy light so you can see what's going on in here, and there's even a very easy way to change your turn signal bulbs from the inside without taking any body panels off the bike. So maintenance on this thing is a snap. Not a hard bike to deal with at all. Of course, this one has the color-matched Piaggio top case, which is very big. Again, full-face motorcycle helmet in there with a jacket, room to spare. So on this bike, as it sits, 2 helmets, 2 jackets, plus any gear you might need. I also love that it has the Piaggio purse holder. Don't call it a purse holder, you know, that's fine. But it has that latch on the top, so you can put your blue grocery bags or stuff on there, hold 3 or 4 bags back from the grocery store. Very convenient, lots of features. Turn the dash on, tells you the ambient temperature, gives you all kinds of stats about the bike built right into the dashboard here. So a lot going on, and this one is used. So this bike's got about 700 miles on it. And this particular bike is a 2017. It's still fresh. It may still have some warranty left on it, but here's interesting. The customer added an Akrapovic exhaust. Akrapovic, Akropovic, you tell me. They added the Akrapovic exhaust to it. They've got a power commander on here. So we're finding an extra 2 horsepower. But more important than the extra 2 horsepower, what are we finding? 9 pounds of weight just went away. So on the Piaggio products, they have the catalytic converter and everything's built into the exhaust, and the exhaust can be very heavy. This exhaust weighs 9 pounds less than the factory exhaust that we took off the bike. It also sounds cool. So it's got a removable baffle, so you can adjust that tone from a nice EPA-friendly 82 decibels to something a little throaty or a little more powerful for people who like that extra bit of noise. Otherwise, though, the bike went from being an already quick, already fine accelerating, already powerful bike to having just a little bit more, and that's nice. Remember that the BV was designed for the Autobahn. It was designed for the Motostrada. That's why you're going to see things like this really, a 16-inch front tire, a 14-inch rear with a 150 series tire on the back. That's more than you saw on CB750s back in the day. So this thing's got tires for days. It's got 300 millimeter front brake, a 240 on the rear. That's also more than you've seen on a lot of motorcycles. There's more braking energy than this 390-pound machine will ever need, and that gives you a lot of confidence when you're riding it on the street. Confidence? How about ABS brakes? How about traction control system? Yeah, there's traction control on a scooter. You might not think that makes a lot of sense for something that only has 33 horsepower, but when you're riding on wet leaves or you're riding on a gravelly or a loose surface and you give it the beans, you don't want the back end kicking out on you. This bike's going to manage that for you. This represents a lot of bike for around $5,900. That's right, we're selling this bike for $5,900. You're going to save a lot of money over buying a brand new one. You're going to get a bike that is tastefully accessorized and works perfectly with only 700 miles on it. If you need to know more about the bike, you can go to our website at clevelandmoto.com. You can call us at 216-795-5580. We wanted you to see this bike because it is really neat, and from a motorcycle standpoint and a scooter standpoint, it definitely has one foot in each pond. really cool machine. If you have any comments or anything you'd like us to know about BV350s, maybe you have one, maybe you've got stories that are legendary and we need to hear them, put something in the comments section. Let us know, respond to us, or subscribe if you want to be updated when we post these videos. That's it. That's what I got for you today. Remember to ride fast and take chances.